What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? This Monday, October the 11th, at the time of this recording. Got a few things to talk about. Some of these have piled up, if you can't tell from this image right here. It's been a little bit. Been a busy week. Had some pretty interesting things happen. But we'll get into all that stuff. Welcome to Brad's Bad Show About Games. My name is Brad, and I am not making an appearance in the next Dragon Ball film, but I know who is, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But right now, let's start off with, as usual, talking about Fortnite, specifically Fortnitemares, as has become a regular thing in Fortnite. The big Halloween event. Or I don't know if you would call it an. I don't know. I guess you could call it an event. It's just not like a live event. But Fortnitemares kicking off is going to be a pretty much they're doing something all month this year, instead of just like the last few weeks. But I guess Fortnitemares won't officially arrive to Battle Royale till maybe next week. But there are already Fortnite Halloween themed LTMs or custom maps or user-generated maps, whatever term is that I'm looking for, that you can go and do some scary-themed stuff. But specifically, the thing that always interests me this time of year is, besides Battle Royale and whatever the theme is and the changes coming to the Battle Royale map, is the skins. And Fortnite has announced they are doing a partnership with Universal Films to bring in some of Halloween's and horror's most classic iconic monsters, who started off and they started off with Frankenstein's monster, as you can see here in this image. Of course, always got to remember, Frankenstein is the doctor, not the monster. Some people get that mixed up. I had to take a sip of something. But now the thing is, this is a cool skin, and it's kind of it looks good. Probably not gonna buy it, but I do have to say that it has an alt, a secondary style for it that is retro, like a black and white movie effect that goes over it. Like, it removes the color from the skin, and it puts like a grainy. It has like a film grain over the skin itself. I don't know if you guys watched my Looney Tune tuna fish 5 minutes of Fortnite video, where I added that to my video footage to make it look, to give it that old-timey feel. But this skin comes with that built in. So that's a really cool effect, and I imagine that some of these other classic monsters will have that. I'm just curious as to who all will make the cut. There is one other monster confirmed, and it will be the Mummy. So those are the only two we know so far that are coming out of this deal with Universal. If that's something that interests you, I would say pick this skin up. Probably not going to do that myself. Like I said, I'm anticipating some other skins coming, and I'll talk about one of them here in a minute. I guess I can already talk about it. They're doing these tarot cards. They're teasing all the stuff for Fortnitemares through tarot cards, and this was one of them. Another skin that they've teased, which is already out now. Like I said, this skin's been out for about a week, it seems, I think. But the next one that was out, as far as big, a big crossover, was Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead, and he joins Daryl Dixon and Michonne. They are all in the shop together right now. As of this moment of recording, you can pick up all three of The Walking Dead skins. Now, again, I don't really know much about The Walking Dead, don't care much for The Walking Dead, but, these crossovers will always appeal to somebody. Somebody out there is the biggest Rick Grimes fan. I guess his name is Rick Grimes, is it? I feel like it is, but I'm also scared I'm getting it wrong. Yeah, I'm right. Okay. I always second guess myself. But the skin that I'm waiting for, and why I don't want to buy some of these skins right here, is one of the tarot cards has Midas's hand on it. And if you remember from last year, Shadow Midas was a boss on the island. The entire Fortnitemares was themed after his return from beyond, and everyone anticipated him getting a skin. There were all kinds of videos uploaded to YouTube of ways you could unlock the skin, and they were all fake, of course, because the skin never released. For whatever reason, you couldn't buy it. They decided not to sell the skin last year, but it looks like we're finally going to get it this year. And I'm excited to see like what the set itself will look like. It probably is just an eviler undead Midas with maybe like a ghostly aura. I hope so, because it was a really cool looking skin. And I'd love to pick him up if he comes to the item shop. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got for Fortnitemares. Very excited to eventually start doing my Fortnitemares videos. I'm holding off because I want Fortnitemares to be on the island before I do those videos. So, like, usually, like, what they did last year was the residential areas of the map got Halloween decorations. And then they did the full Fortnitemares update, which had, like, the witches' houses there and the witch brooms and all. Like, they teased it on the map, and then they actually brought it in. But from what I've seen on the Fortnite map so far, there are no Halloween decorations. Now, the whole thing with the cubes is going on, and that's going to be a big focus of Fortnitemares this year, from what I understand. So, instead of, like, Midas coming back or something like that for theme, the theme of Fortnitemares this year is going to be related to the cubes. So, that's an interesting idea that they've tied in the storyline to their Halloween event. Cool idea. And I'm curious to see what happens. Anyway, besides that, let's talk about something else crossover-wise. Probably the biggest news within the last week. Sora from Kingdom Hearts will be the final DLC character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. In what I think, honestly, was the most difficult character and the biggest fantasy character they could have gotten. This was the biggest fish to catch, and they caught it. You know, if Sora is like Moby Dick, you know, that's the impossible to get, the impossible to catch, trophy, and now he's here. And I have to say something. I've got to praise the way they did this, because the teaser, the reveal trailer starts off with the big fiery Smash emblem that revealed the game in the first place, where all the characters in the game are staring in awe of this big fireball. And the fireball Smash emblem fades. Now, I think that's obviously a reference to the fact that this was the end of Smash or Ultimate. You know, is it the end of Smash? I doubt it. But is it the end of Smash Ultimate? Yes. So I think that was what that was supposed to represent. And then all of the characters turned back into trophies. Now, the interesting thing here, I think that is supposed to symbolize, like, the fact, or maybe it's a reference back to the original Smash, where in the first Smash Bros. Game, the characters were all just little toys, action figures or stuffed animals or whatever. And then Master Hand, is organizing it all. So it seems to give the idea that Smash Bros. Takes place in a person's imagination. Like, this is why all of these characters can come together. It's because somebody is just playing around. Because, like, almost every kid, I can't think of a single kid who would have toys that belong to different franchises and don't make them play together. I used to do that all the time as a kid. I do entire little adventures where my Pokemon would have to team up and do battle against Digimon figures that I had. And I had a few Dragon Ball Z figures. And I just had some random little figures that I would add in, I had some Disney stuff I would throw in there. Like, so, yeah, like, this is something that people do all the time. But the thing that really sells this trailer is the magical feeling of it all. But anyway, before we get to the big part with Sora, like, a solitary little flame ball drops down, and Mario sees it, wakes up, and his trophy stand that he's standing on disappears, and he's fully awake again. Now, people thought this was going to be Dark Souls. I don't know enough about Dark Souls, so I can't really say anything, but something to do with the bonfire or something. Anyway, when Mario reached in, I was sitting here watching the whole time. My big want for this final reveal was Sora. And so I was watching the whole time looking for some reference to Sora or something. When I saw Mario pull back after grabbing the fire and it looked like he was holding a sword, I got kind of excited. I mean, I was already excited, but I started thinking, that's a sword. And then he threw it. And I was like, yeah, that looks like a sword. And then just before it clipped over, I think, to the Mickey Mouse emblem, I realized it was a Keyblade. Either right then or right there. I can't remember because I remember thinking that looks like a Keyblade, and then they zoomed in on the Mickey Mouse thing, and I couldn't help it. I laughed out so loud when I saw that because I could not believe I was looking at the Mickey Mouse emblem. And I guess the internet didn't crash. The internet didn't break at this, but I thought it would. I legitimately thought the internet was going to break. But, once Mario throws the Keyblade and it opens up the keyhole to bring Sora into the Smash realm, all the other characters come back to life. And then Sora floats in. And he starts flying around, and this really dramatic instrumental of Simple and Clean starts playing. And all the trailer really is from that point is the Smash roster watching Sora fly around them with the little magical pixie dust as he's leaving a trail behind him. And he laughs once. And honestly, I could say that I've never seen a trailer for Smash before where a character just felt like he shouldn't be there. And what I mean by that is not that he shouldn't be there, but it just seemed like such a long shot at this happening that it shouldn't be happening. That's what it feels like. It feels like Sora shouldn't be in Smash, but there he is. And it's just so, like, imagine in your head you tell somebody, Sora from Kingdom Hearts is going to be in a trailer where he's flying over the heads of Samus Aran and Donkey Kong. People will look at you like you're crazy. And it was so weird to see that. To see Mario standing next to Sora. That it honestly felt like something you were watching. It felt to me like I was watching something that should not be possible happen right there in front of my face. And the whole thing just came across as like just how magical it was. And they really pushed the magic with this one. With the variations for Sora being all of his different forms and how his clothes from the various games, the Timeless River, which is the fact that his Timeless River form is in Smash means that you now have a direct reference to Steamboat Willie in Super Smash Brothers. There you go. But Hollow Bastion being the stage, floating around there, and then it transitions into dive into the heart or whatever it's called, and the magic portraits of the Nomura art in the background. It just completely sells you on the magic, and I think that really is the best way to describe Sora being in Smash in the first place. Is it is basically a magic thing. A lot of work went into making sure that he was accurately represented, that all the people who were involved in this were satisfied with what they saw. And I'd imagine a lot of legal crap that had to go on to get all this to work. And there was no better way to end Smash than with this character. So now if Smash continues, it's no longer a question of can they get this character, because the only one left really was Sora. He was the one exception of a character where you're sitting there thinking, is it possible to even get this character because of how complicated it would be? Sakurai made it work. So now going forward, it's not going to be a question of if, it's just going to be a question of who wants to, and who wants to do it, and which characters do Nintendo, Sakurai, or whoever's involved at that point feel deserves it or should be in the game. So now it absolutely is a free-for-all. Anything goes now. And I think that's exciting because there's no limit now, which opens the door to everyone. At the same time, the mystery, with which part of the mystery of Smash was wondering who could and couldn't make it. With that part of the mystery is gone, but at least now we know that it's that basically any character, as long as they originate in a game, is doable. Now, one thing I will say, I saw some people arguing over what was the deal with the absence of any reference to Disney characters in Smash, and I think that was a choice by Sakurai, not Disney. Some people theorize that Disney basically would not let them put Mickey and Donald or Goofy in Smash, and I can't agree with that. I honestly think if given the opportunity to sell a character with Donald Duck and Goofy in there, maybe even make them pay more for it, I think they'd have been fine with licensing out those characters. I think that this was Sakurai's call because, remember, Sakurai has taken the stance that for a character to end up in Super Smash Bros., they have to originate from a video game. They can't be a manga character that got bunches of games made for them, like Dragon Ball. And they can't be or a comic book character, which manga comics is basically the same thing. Because apparently there were a lot of requests for Iron Man for some reason. But yeah, no cartoon characters, no comic book characters, no real people. It's got to be a character who originates from a video game, and Sora does, and so he qualifies, even if it's a Disney character, even if that Mickey Mouse logo on the end of the chain thing, it's an official logo for the Keyblade, or it's an official part of the Keyblade, so of course they're going to have that. But yeah, I'm betting that Sakurai was like, we're not putting Donald and Goofy in, they're not video game characters, Sora doesn't need them, it'll be fine. And I agree with that. I expected that. If this was going to happen, I figured that they would not put in Donald and Goofy. And I would put my money on that being a call from Sakurai. I can't imagine that people will be like, we'll pay you if you'll let us use Donald Duck. We'll pay you a bunch of money or whatever. And Disney going, nah, that's okay. I'm sure Disney would have been fine with it. If they were okay with Sora being in at all, they'd have given them Donald and Goofy. But, yeah, that'll be cool. Kingdom Hearts games are going to be coming to the Switch. They're cloud-based, so I already have the games on Xbox One, so I'm set with that. But hey, maybe if you have a Switch, maybe the games will run fairly smooth on the based from the cloud. Don't know, but at least you have that option. But moving towards something that happened yesterday that I really need to explain why I feel this way about it, because I think it was a dumb thing to happen. Kotaku wrote an article about how Metroid Dread is already running very well on emulators. Now, and the thread even goes so far as to say, I think that all you need to play Metroid Dread is a computer, as a decent computer, and a copy of Metroid Dread's ROM. Let me make sure. I want to be sure here. Let me look. I'm trying to find this. Because I want to make sure this reads right. I mean, I'm probably not going to change my opinion on it, but I want to make sure I read this exactly as it's written. Hmm. Hang on, I'm trying to see. Anyway, what the article that was original? I don't know if this looks like it may have been edited or something, or maybe not edited because I'm looking for some of the quotes directly from it, but I'm not seeing the ones that I've seen people posting. Okay, yeah, they've revised this story. Okay, that's why I'm not finding it. Okay, so I can't find the one. Anyway, basically what happened was that they said all you really need to play this game is a decent PC and a copy of the game or the copy of the game's ROM. I think that was what was said, but basically the way it was worded suggests that they it seemed to be blatantly endorsing the idea of not paying for the game. And the thing is that most people who are pro emulation don't outright suggest, hey, just emulate all of your games. But here's the thing with this. So I'm not going to come to Nintendo's defense in here for the sake of Nintendo. Anybody claiming that like Nintendo's going to lose money off of emulation, they're not. Nintendo is Japan's most profitable company, and for some reason they have taken this humongous hard stance against emulation, and I do not understand it. You make more money than any other company in Japan. Why are you claiming that this is hurting your business? So, no. And like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate sold incredibly well. I'm sure people emulate that too. So do I think that this game is going to be to suffer from the hands of people suggesting you emulate it instead of buy it? No, those people already exist. The people who were going to emulate it and not buy it already were there. You weren't going to convince them to buy the game anyway. My problem with this is that because Nintendo is so against emulation, like just like completely, like Nintendo doesn't care how old the game is. If it's out of print, it doesn't matter. You saw all the stuff with like the Melee tournaments that people had because they were like, well, what if you can't prove that you physically own the game and that the ROM you have was ripped directly from the disc you have? Like, even then, I think Nintendo wouldn't approve. But the thing is that when you write an article that seems to suggest, and even at one point the line says, "Thank God for pirates and emulators and all this," and it's and the article went after them for not preserving some of their games, and there's some valid arguments there because I do think that some of the stuff that there are some games out there you can't play anymore from Nintendo because they don't have them on modern consoles. And that is bad, and that should be criticized. But the thing is, there's a difference between emulating a game that's 20 years old like Melee that is not available on a current platform, that they haven't sold in years, and is probably very hard to find in a store and without having to go online and pay like $200 for a used copy of the game. Like, especially if you like already have like a physical version of the game itself. Like, that's the thing, like emulation is not piracy. It's just you're working around how you play the game. I have a system that I have a Wii and I have a physical copy of Super Smash Brothers Melee. I can play Melee legitimately on my Wii, but my Wii is in storage because I don't from where I moved and just have not pulled it out because I've got other game systems I can play. But I can play but I could download the ROM and run it through Dolphin and play. What's the difference? What's the difference in me playing it on my Wii just because I downloaded the ROM from somewhere online? And that's why that's why having ROMs online in and of itself isn't piracy, because I've just changed the way I did it. Like if I ripped the ROM off my disc myself, maybe I didn't get off the internet, but it's the same, result. I have a ROM of the game. It's just not from the physical disc that I have. But there's a big difference between that, a game that's no longer in print, and a game that's 2 days old. And bragging about and going out talking about, hey, look, this brand new game, it's on Nintendo Switch. You could play it on your computer and it'll look and run way better. Like, to me, that just comes across, and like a lot of people did, it's just blatantly telling people, don't buy this game. And again, the problem with this is that because Nintendo is so against emulation, that when a major site like Kotaku pushes something like that or says something like that, it can be interpreted by Nintendo as an attempt to sabotage the sales of Metroid Dread and make the game fail by encouraging all these people to not buy the game because you could just emulate it instead. And that will be used as an argument in court against emulation in general. And that's why you shouldn't do something like that. Never push for emulating, or like a site like that with a huge amount of followers like Kotaku, just pushing this idea that like, Metroid, just go emulate Metroid. That's fine. And then again, you can buy the game and emulate it. Okay, whatever. But I'm not worried about what this will do to Nintendo. I'm worried about what it'll do to emulation. Because again, Nintendo's war against emulation is against all of it, not just new stuff. Granted, I think they do prioritize new stuff. That, what was it, ROM Universe got shut down, but they were actually selling ROMs online. And like that's just absolutely absurd. But yeah, in this case, just don't put yourself in a position, because I don't know, maybe Nintendo might have grounds to sue them for that. I don't know what the actual charge would be, but I would imagine like encouraging people to openly steal a game like that could maybe land you some legal trouble. But I don't know. The fact that they revised the article from what I was looking at, and it seemed to be a lot more on the side of, hey, this is an interesting story, and game companies should make sure that some of these games that do not have a way to play them currently, emulation is your only bet. But I would just say, you gotta think a little bit ahead of time. Don't let, like, I don't want to see emulation get ruled illegal because Nintendo brought up the fact that Kotaku wrote an article talking about how cool it was to emulate Metroid Dread, and all you need is a good PC. Now, the one thing I don't like is I saw some people who were, of course, saying like, corporations are not your friend. Stop worrying about them. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's true. And then I saw one person talking about, you're poor shaming people. I don't know if you could poor shame somebody, because if you want to run a emulator for a more powerful system, and I know the Switch is the most powerful system, but I had a laptop that struggled with Dolphin. Now, my current PC is a legit gaming PC. It's built for gaming, and for the most part, it runs emulations very well. There's a little bit of some hiccups with Dolphin, but it's pretty smooth. It's pretty smooth. So, And this was not a cheap game. This is not a cheap PC. I bought it on sale, and it still wasn't cheap. You need for a computer to run an emulator or a good emulator in a way that lets you enjoy a game, especially if you're talking about the game being in better quality than it would be on its originally intended hardware. You're gonna have to pay a pretty penny for that. Probably more than it would cost you to buy a Switch and then just buy the game on this from the eShop. So I don't know. I just for me, it just like I said, I'm more worried about what an article like this would do to hurt emulations cases than I am worried about it affecting Nintendo. It won't affect Nintendo. They'll be fine. They'll still be Japan's top company, and they're gonna make a killing off of this game. Everybody says it's really good, and I want to play it at some point. I don't know when that'll be. I have no idea when that'll be. Maybe it'll be after I finish Metroid Other M. If I ever finish Metroid Other M. But, yeah, just, emulation should primarily be for game preservation. If you can't, if a game is very old, I would say at least 2 generations back. So, like a Wii game, if we're talking about Nintendo, if you're emulating Wii games, most of those probably can't get anymore. But at least Nintendo is working on getting some of the stuff. Like the Nintendo Switch Online stuff, if you pay the yearly fee, or I guess you don't even have to pay it yearly, but if you pay to play to have the online service, you can play those games at any time you want, even with like the rewind feature, I think, and other things you can do to that make playing the games more easy, or easier, I guess is the actual word. But yeah, I just, like I said, it's just don't write an article like this. But anyway, moving on. Pokemon has some kind of collaboration going on with Universal Studios Japan. We're back to Universal again. I don't know what this is supposed to be though, and so I'm curious what they're gonna do with this. Is there going to be some kind of Pokemon attraction at the theme park? Is this going to be an expansion of Super Nintendo World? Because it doesn't seem like it will be. At least not from what I've seen. This is new. Like, pretty much the only thing we know about this is that it's happening. And so, Super Nintendo World has its main Mario World and is supposed to get a Donkey Kong expansion. That's already, I think, in the works. I think they're already building it. But, like, I've been wondering, and a lot of other people have been wondering, like, if they do expand this, like, are they going to just, like, are there plans for a Zelda area? Like, that would be really cool. Like, imagine, you have a theme park that's themed after, Hyrule. I mean, I know Hyrule in the games is generally like a big open, pretty much a continent that you roam and, stuff like that. I don't know how you would really make that work. Like I don't know how you would make people feel like they were in Hyrule without having a big open area to explore in some way where you could collect things. But at least I think you could make it work. I think you could find a way to make like the interactive stuff work in a similar way to the way the Mario games work. That they definitely could do. But I don't know. Like, part of the big thing for Breath of the Wild was exploring Hyrule and just being out in the open world. So I don't know. You probably couldn't do that. Not with a theme park, but we don't even know if that's going to happen. So hopefully we'll find out something about this soon. But right now there's really not any information on it other than it's happening. So yeah. But let's talk about this. It's time for a side quest, which means this isn't tied to any games. We got our first look at the at Dragon Ball Superhero, which is coming out next year, and some very interesting things going on here. Now, first off, the big elephant in the room there being the animation style. It's CG, but I think it looks pretty good. Apparently, I saw somebody say that there are 2D elements to the film at some points or something. I don't know if that's how accurate it was. I didn't notice any in the trailer. I think it'll be fine. It looks a little awkward, but I don't know. This seems like something that maybe it's an experimental thing for them. They're going to see how it works and if people will like it or not. But, like, looking at this picture of Goku here, I think it looks fine. Yeah, you could kind of tell it's 3D and it's CG animated, but he looks like Goku, you know? He certainly doesn't look like he came out of Jump Force. I mean, it just looks like a 3D version of an anime character. So I don't think it's gonna be. I'm gonna stay optimistic on this. Now, as far as like the story goes, it's supposed to focus. There's supposed to be a lot of focus on Pan and Piccolo, and I assume Gohan's gonna be in the movie too. And Videl and Mr. Satan will be in there too, because it looks like Pan is going to be the focus of the film, and the concept of what it means to be a hero. But for some reason, the Red Ribbon Army is back again, and this is the second time the Red Ribbon Army is back. Third, if you count Dragon Ball Fighters, and I'm just like, I don't really know. Fourth, I guess you could say, if you counted the Android 13 movie, but I don't know, man. Like, I figured we were done with the Red Ribbon Army. Like, Goku destroyed the army back in the OG Dragon Ball, and then Dr. Giro's whole thing with his secret lab, he was supposed to be the top scientist for the army, and Cell was supposed to be his his top secret weapon that was going to be his greatest creation. So how is the army still around? Who knows? But you know what? I can't question it too much. It's Dragon Ball. There's no real... like, there's so many inconsistencies and stuff with Dragon Ball that it would be pointless to sit back and really... is it that important? Is that there's is the reason the Red Ribbon Army is back really that important? Like, in the grand scheme of things? Like, if it's decent... if they have a decent explanation for why there's somebody still representing the Red Ribbon Army around in modern Dragon Ball, then fine, whatever. I'm more interested exactly in who these Gamma characters are, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, because and I also did, speaking of the Red Ribbon Army, before we get off of those guys, apparently somebody, I think the director of the film, somebody did, I can't remember where I saw it, but somebody associated with the film. Let me see if I can find it. I quote tweeted it. I gotta find it. But no, it wasn't a director. It was the Japanese voice actor for Lemo, I guess from this is from the Broly film. It says that Tomokazu Tsukita, I think that's how you say his name. Said he desperately wants Cell to be in the next movie. And it says he wouldn't shut up about it. So he keeps, like, this particular actor was really, really interested and wanted to see Cell in the movie. In the next movie. And so you have a voice actor from the previous movie talking constantly about how they wish Cell would be in the next movie. They would bring Cell back. And now we have a movie with the Red Ribbon Army, who Cell, of course, came from. Now, I don't really know. Like I said this on Twitter, like, if Cell comes back then that will make all 4 of the major antagonists of Dragon Ball Z all living and all aware of each other at the same time, or they'll all be active members of the cast at the same time. Because Vegeta's still around, he's a good guy now. Frieza's alive again, whether he will be or not by the time this movie rolls around, because of the Granola arc and Granola's desire to get revenge on Frieza. Who knows if Frieza will still be around? I can't see them getting rid of Frieza like that. I feel like Frieza's here for the I feel like Frieza's not going to go anywhere. He's the show's best villain, and I feel like the reason they decided to have him be alive in the continuity is so they could keep doing things with him. And Majin Buu is good too. I mean, he's cast out his evil self, and his evil self was even reincarnated into a nice, good little kid. So Vegeta, Frieza, and Buu are all there. Cell being back would just complete the group. But I don't think we're gonna see Cell be good, and part of me feels like we won't see Cell. I just feel like they wouldn't do that. These characters these Gamma characters might be sort of like Cell or similar to Cell. Maybe they know of Cell. Maybe who knows? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're improved versions of Cell. But the big news, the big shocking reveal, I think, out of this whole thing is that for exactly 2 frames of this trailer, there's a character in here that gets confirmed to be in the film that we have not seen in a while, and we've mentioned him already. Broly's in this film. So, we have not seen hide nor hair of Broly since the Broly film. Now, that film is canon in the manga, but they pretty much just mentioned that it happened. That was it. They showed like a single frame that I guess Toyotaro drew of Goku and Vegeta fighting Broly, and basically just summed up that this was a big event that happened on the Earth in between the Tournament of Power and the Moro arc. So it was basically skipped over, but they did mention it so that story is canon within what happens in the manga. So we haven't seen Broly in a long time, and he didn't show up in the Moro arc, which was surprising because it seemed like, you would take this iconic character now and make him canon in your main timeline and then not use him again. Especially because he may be the single strongest character in the universe, or at least one of. Because at the end of the Broly film, Goku did say he thought that maybe Broly was stronger than Beerus, which would be a big, big deal, that this one character, this one mortal, would be stronger than their universe's god of destruction. So, for them to not bring him up again would be just... I couldn't imagine why you would make that move and not use him again. And now we're in the middle of the Granola arc, which is all about Frieza and the Saiyans. And Frieza's been mentioned a lot, but he hasn't shown up in this arc yet. I figure he will. I assume he will. And Granola wants revenge on the Saiyans. We've only seen Vegeta and Goku. I'm surprised that they haven't brought Broly up in the manga yet. Because if Granola's goal is to eradicate every Saiyan, then he's going to have to move on from, if he was to beat Vegeta and Goku, which I don't think he will, even though I do think he's stronger than the both of them right now, he'd have to go on and get the rest of them. Because surely it wouldn't be like, oh, I beat these 2 and that's it. So, I'm glad that they didn't just, throw Broly to the side and not use him again. It's like that. It's good enough that he's canon and he's alive in the universe. We don't need to bring him out again. But that does leave me questioning, what will his role in the film be? Is he just there to remind us that he's there? I mean, I keep bringing this up, but Frieza said he wanted to keep an eye on Broly, and he thought that he might could use his power again in the future. So Toriyama already has some kind of idea of what he wants to do with Frieza and Broly for a future story, but this film doesn't look like they're going to tackle that. So, I don't know. This is supposed to be more of a, I think they said more slice of life-ish than action. So like where the entire appeal of the last movie was the big fight between Goku, Vegeta, and Broly, this film is going to be a little bit more relaxed and laid back. As they, like I said, they're going to focus on little 4-year-old Pan, and like I guess what it's like for her to have, you know, to have Gohan as her dad and have her two grandpas are Mr. Satan, the pro wrestler kind of guy who the whole world loves and reveres as like their ultimate hero, and then Goku, who is, you know, more or less the strongest mortal in their universe, maybe besides Broly. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what they do with this film. I don't know if they're going to go so far as to make her a Super Saiyan. Like that seems to be something that, like, they never did that in GT. They never. I think they originally had said like the idea was that Pan couldn't go Super Saiyan because she's only a quarter Saiyan, but I think they don't care about that anymore. The official Dragon Ball lore, like Dragon Ball Online and stuff, is that humans and Saiyans became so integrated that basically that it was fairly common for certain people to have Saiyan genetics in some part of their bloodline. So but even just having a slight bit of Saiyan DNA in your bloodline meant you could become a Super Saiyan. So I think in modern Dragon Ball, they'll have no reason to not make Pan a Super Saiyan at some point. But the question is, are they going to give that power to a 4-year-old? I mean, they already gave it to Goten at 7, and he basically just accidentally stumbled into it. Him and Trunks both. They just did it. No training. Not really. I mean, I don't really call Chi-Chi jumping around out in the yard with Goten to be intense training. He accidentally slid into the power and didn't even realize he had. So, and Toriyama's already, of course, retconned a lot of that by saying, like, oh, no, Saiyans raised on in calmer atmospheres are more likely to become Super Saiyan, which doesn't make sense because the entire, like, point of Super Saiyan is, like, or the original idea behind Super Saiyan is when a Saiyan becomes so overrun with anger that their inner rage manifests itself in a transformation that makes them, like, 50 times stronger than they normally are. So, and they become ruthless and just, you know, Saiyans already love the thrill of battle, but being in the Super Saiyan state was supposed to basically make you an uncaged animal, just thirsty for combat, and, you know, an unrelenting warrior who wouldn't stop until his opponent was just completely destroyed. But even then, Goku kind of bucked that by trying to spare Frieza at the end, which comes from that iconic shot in the manga where it looks like Goku, even in this, you know, enraged Super Saiyan form, looks like he regrets finishing Frieza off, even though he didn't actually finish Frieza off. Frieza lived. But, spoiler! But, yeah. I'm excited. I want to know what this is gonna, like, I want to know what this film is gonna, you know, what is the story here? What is exactly going on? There's a lot going on with the fact that, you know, Piccolo is going to be a focus. Piccolo's been an afterthought for years. And him and Pan being the focus of the film, maybe not the main focus, I don't know. It looks like it's going to focus a lot on Pan. But, like, the Red Ribbon Army, Pan, Piccolo, Broly, like, I figure Broly's not going to be an important thing here. I figure Broly is going to be training with Whis, and that this is going to be a thing where they try to start getting Broly's primal power under control to where he can utilize it better. Now, I don't know if that means they're going to give Broly the other, like, godly Super Saiyan forms, because he really doesn't need them. I mean, he really doesn't need those forms. He just needs to make himself stronger and tap into that full power green haired berserk form. Sort of like Kale did in the series. They never really fully explained what that form was. Either just that she went basically just an Incredible Hulk Super Saiyan form, really. But anyway, that's all I got for you. Hope you enjoyed listening to me talk. I know I kind of stuttered and bumbled around words, but anyway, appreciate you listening. Like and subscribe. Go check out all my gameplay videos, and we'll see you next time. Later.